There are moments in an industry that define its future. For Twitch, that moment might have just arrived, not through a product update or a business decision, but through something far more human and far more devastating. At TwitchCon 2025, streamer Emiru, one of the platform's most recognizable faces, was assaulted during a meet and greet. The news spread fast, and is spreading fast right now. A place that was meant to celebrate community, creativity, and safety suddenly became a symbol of failure. Twitch later claimed the assailant was immediately detained, but Emiru herself told a different story. No staff came to check on her. No one made sure she was okay, and the silence that followed spoke louder than any corporate statement ever could. For many, this wasn't just a horrifying incident. It was the breaking point, a sign of what's been festering beneath the surface for years. A platform that once stood for connection now feels disconnected from its own creators. And if Twitch doesn't act soon, the damage might be irreversible. To understand how we got here, we have to look at the bigger picture. Twitch isn't dying overnight. It's been bleeding slowly. A decline masked by habit, by nostalgia, and by creators who stayed loyal long after the warning signs were clear. Viewership numbers have been trending downward for months. 2025 marked Twitch's lowest average hours watched in 5 years. That's not just a little dip. That's erosion. The kind that comes when people start asking a dangerous question. Why am I still here? Even Twitch's own data shows it. Average concurrent viewers fell from roughly 2.4 million to barely over 2.2. It doesn't sound like much, but for a platform built on momentum, those numbers matter. Because once creators leave, they rarely come back. Meanwhile, YouTube and Kick have been picking up the pieces, offering better deals, more flexibility, and a sense that creators actually matter. Twitch, on the other hand, feels stuck in 2016, still clinging to the past while the rest of the industry moves forward. At the heart of Twitch's decline is money, or rather, the lack of it flowing in the right direction. When Twitch slashed its premium 70% revenue share for top creators, it sent a message. We need to survive, even if you don't. That change may have made sense on a balance sheet, but not in the eyes of the people who built the platform. Imagine being told that after years of loyalty and hours of streaming, the reward for your success is a smaller paycheck. For many creators, that was the final straw. It's a harsh truth. Twitch has never figured out how to balance creator happiness with corporate profitability. Amazon's billion-dollar purchase of Twitch should have guaranteed growth. Instead, reports show it's still not turning a profit. Layoffs, cutbacks, and confused leadership have all taken their toll. Creators feel like products, not partners. And when the people on your platform start feeling used, they eventually find a new home. The Emiru incident wasn't an isolated failure. It was a reflection of something much deeper. Safety on Twitch has been an ongoing problem for years. Hate raids, harassment, and inadequate moderation tools have driven countless streamers off the platform. Reports from researchers show that Twitch's own safety filters can fail more than 90% of the time when detecting hate speech. That's not a glitch, that's neglect. When a streamer like Emiru, someone with a massive following, access to event staff, and public visibility, can be attacked in broad daylight, what does that say to smaller creators? What message does that send to women, to marginalized streamers, to anyone who's ever been made to feel unsafe online? The message is simple. If they can't protect her, they won't protect you. Trust is the most valuable currency in this industry, and Twitch has been spending it recklessly. There was a time when Twitch felt alive. Communities formed naturally. Streamers were pioneers building culture in real time, and now it feels manufactured. What once felt like a playground for creators now feels like a machine that needs feeding. Less authenticity, more brand management, and more red tape. The chat that once buzzed with genuine connection now often fills with toxicity, spam, or corporate emotes. Events like TwitchCon were supposed to bring that energy back, to remind everyone why they love streaming in the first place. Instead, they've become PR nightmares. The Emiru assault wasn't just an isolated act of violence. It exposed a cultural rot, one where creator well-being takes a backseat to optics, where the company reacts instead of prepares, and where image matters more than safety. While Twitch struggles to patch its own holes, competitors are evolving faster than ever. YouTube has refined its live streaming tools, integrated shorts for discovery, and created a better long-term ecosystem for creators. Kick, despite its controversies, has made one thing clear. If you pay creators fairly and let them feel heard, they'll show up. Twitch doesn't need to mimic those platforms, but it does need to listen. Creators want stability, they want opportunity, and they want to feel valued again. The problem isn't that Twitch has competition. The problem is that Twitch has forgotten why it used to win. If you boil it down, Twitch's decline comes from 3 failures: failure of leadership, failure of empathy, and a failure to evolve. Leadership that prioritizes corporate control over community trust, a lack of empathy for creators and viewers who make the platform what it is, and a refusal to evolve beyond the formula that worked a decade ago. Twitch's biggest advantage, live interaction, has become its greatest weakness. Because when your entire platform is built around people, you can't afford to stop caring about them. So let's come back to the event that started this conversation. In the hours after the Emiru assault, Twitch released a brief statement. It was polished, corporate, carefully worded, but it didn't feel human. Meanwhile, Emiru's own post resonated deeply. She didn't ask for sympathy, she asked for accountability, for change, for humanity. That's what Twitch is missing. Not better marketing, not new features, but empathy. Because when tragedy strikes, people don't remember your press release. They remember how you made them feel. And right now, Twitch makes too many people feel unheard. If Twitch wants to survive, it needs more than tweaks. It needs full-on transformation. First, it must rebuild creator trust. That means a fair revenue share, transparent communication, and visible respect for the people driving its success. Second, it must invest in safety, both digital and physical. Creators should never question whether Twitch has their back. That includes real-time safety tools, faster response systems, and serious reform for event security. Third, Twitch has to innovate again, not by copying competitors, but by reimagining what live content can be. Integrate clips, shorts, interactive polls, and better discovery for small creators. Stop chasing trends and start leading them. And finally, Twitch needs to find its soul again. The platform grew because it felt human. It was messy, chaotic, but also creative and real. Bring that back, because you can't algorithm your way out of apathy. Twitch isn't dead, not yet, but it's standing on a cliff, and this time, the fall is of its own making. If it continues down this path, Twitch will become a memory, a story about how the biggest streaming platform in the world lost touch with the very people who built it. But it doesn't have to end that way. There's still time to rebuild trust, to protect creators, to prove that community and safety matter more than quarterly reports. Emiru's tragedy should never have happened. But if Twitch listens, truly listens, it can make sure it never happens again. Because platforms rise and fall, but communities endure. And Twitch still has one worth saving.